This time I would like to start by asking from all of you, what are you going to do today to make our planet cleaner? You have now about 10 minutes to think about it. I will ask again. Well, our team is thinking that topic every day because we want to start the fight against the global plastic waste problem. Because if nothing changes, there's going to be much more plastic in our oceans, and every sea bird or sea animal has eaten a bite of plastic. And that, of course, cannot be continued. Mechanical recycling has been suggested as one solution to solve this huge problem. But even in the most optimistic scenarios in EU, only 40% of plastic can be mechanically recycled by 2050. This is not enough. New innovations are needed. So our innovation is a piece of Nordic design which combines circularity, sustainability, and unlimited design possibilities. And we have created for our material almost all the plastic benefits without the plastic waste problem. And due to these unique properties, we have already received global brands as our customers, and already we won some international competitions. This all helps us in our vision to make Sulapac #1 sustainable material replacing plastics in the future. We have a very humble mission, save the world from plastic waste. But this cannot be done only with our new innovation. We are responsible to educate consumers and our customers how to live more sustainable life, how to reduce the use of plastics, how to reuse not only plastics but all materials again and again, how to recycle right different materials, and how to replace right. But how to replace right? What is a truly sustainable choice? As I mentioned in a dialogue what I was just having 20 minutes ago, the plastic definition is very unclear. Is there in the audience somebody who could tell me what is the difference between bio-based and biodegradable material? Hands up. There is one hand. Please be loud and clear. What is the difference? Yes, you. Yeah, biodegradable and bio-based. Yes. Yes, very good. So there is a rare answer. So biodegradable means that microorganisms can really digest the material into CO2, water, and biomass. And bio-based just means the source. So you almost need to be a chemist to understand that if you have a naturally occurring material like wood or sugarcane, you can make chemically exactly the same plastics as from oil. So what is then the problem with these bio-based, biodegradable plastics? They are on the green side. Well, let's take PLA, for instance. It's well-known biodegradable plastic, has been out there 20 years. But if you make a bottle out of it, it takes almost 30 years that it biodegrades in ocean. So that causes littering. So there is 2 guidelines which will help the consumer to do better choices in the shops. If the material is made from oil, our precious natural resources, of course, it means it's unecological. But secondly, it's not enough that the material is biodegradable in industrial compost, like PLA. It needs to be biodegradable also into nature. There we only have a very narrow group of materials, which we call microplastic-free. So we think it would be much more clear to have 2 different material groups, microplastic-free and microplastic-releasing. And what do I mean by these microplastic-releasing materials? They are materials or plastics that degrade into nature to smaller and smaller particles. which cannot be digested by naturally occurring microorganism in sufficient time. Whereas these microplastic-free materials can be digested by naturally occurring microorganism within a sufficient period of time, something which mimics the nature. So what is the major challenge with these microplastics? They have been linked to various diseases like cancer, immunological diseases, and the main problem is that they can enrich in the food chain because they are almost permanently in the nature. And what is even more worrying is that how can you clean our oceans from microplastics? We can clean the plastic waste. For instance, Ocean Cleanup is doing an awesome job for that. But only through new innovations we can clean up the oceans and replace the plastics that release these microplastics. Our philosophy is to design and make materials that mimic nature, like these straws. They biodegrade in oceans in 2 to 5 years, the exact time as birch leaves. That is not enough that the material is microplastic free. We have taken sustainability into account in every step of the value chain, meaning that in the beginning we don't use any harmful or toxic materials or raw materials. And the wood, for instance, what we use, it's a side stream from industrial production processes, and it comes from sustainably grown forest. This all is needed in order to have a very low CO2 footprint for our material. At the moment, there is no internationally accepted criteria how fast should a material biodegrade in order that it can be claimed as microplastic-free or ocean-safe. It can still take years that we are able to have this marine biodegradation certification or this microplastic-free certification. However, we think the nature can't wait, for instance, 5 years. We need to start now to make these sustainable materials to replace plastics. So to overcome this challenge, our way of working is to work with scientists to use existing international standards and make a combination and be very open in communication how we do it, what do we claim. So for instance, with the straws, how we have evaluated the 2 to 5 years biodegradation time, we have selected this ASTM-D 6691 standard, which measures biodegradation in marine condition. And marine condition is the most challenging one. And in this test, we study how fast microorganisms produce CO2. So there we can easily count the rate of biodegradation. In addition to that, we have studied our straw biodegradation in actual open sea waters in Baltic Sea. And in addition to that, we study ecotoxicity of our material in various environments, not only in industrial compost, but also in the marine condition. So we make sure that our straws or their biodegradation products don't interfere plankton growth. Although we could claim that our material is ocean safe, it means that nobody can throw a material or plastic to the nature. Everything should be recycled. So should our material. And the best way to recycle our material is via organic recycling, meaning industrial composting. However, even in Finland or in many countries in Europe, as mentioned, recycling is never going to be 100%. Therefore, we have designed our material to be better than plastic wherever it ends up. If it's burned, it releases less CO2 and toxic gases compared to plastic. And it can be also recycled in future ways, like chemical recycling or also mechanical recycling. But the infrastructure is not yet there. That's why we need to have the open dialogue and educate also the governments and the EU politicians to make sure that they also are building the infrastructure for these new innovations. So how fast then in these infrastructures or recycling systems our material then degrades? In the industrial composting, it takes 2 weeks, that it's small pieces, and in less than 4 weeks, it's CO2, water, and biomass. But in industrial composting, the temperature is 50 to 60 degrees, so nothing natural. So what happens if we decrease the temperature? In 28 degrees, it takes 26 weeks. And after 20 weeks, you can see already pieces of straws. Our innovation can be divided into 2 parts. The first part is these unique properties of the material. And the second part is the fact that it can be manufactured in existing production lines, meaning that no new factories need to be built in order to manufacture Sulapac material. And this is, of course, part of our sustainability agenda. But what this means is that we can replace plastic in various different categories, and here are just a few examples of these new categories we can enter. But let's look here at a short video of our newest product, the straw. So why a straw? 4% of the plastic pollution is straws. But the first thing I would like to say about these straws is that don't use a straw if you really don't need to. But we're saying that, understand that straw-less future takes time. So you need to have something to replace plastics. That's why we have created this straw. When we bring a new product to the market, the principle is that it needs to be best of its category, because we think the only way to save the world from plastic waste is to follow Goretech's category. So really make your brand something that everybody recognizes. So what is then the alternative, sustainable alternative? Of course, a paper straw. But have somebody from the audience try to drink a mojito more than 2 hours without having this soggy feeling in the mouth? It's almost impossible. Mojito is my favorite drink. And when I was designing the specs for the straw together with our R&D team, we decided that the R&D team needs to test the mojitos 24 hours, that it can't get soggy. So this is now the requirement and the criteria for the straw. So please try this straw this evening and try to drink mojitos 24 hours. It works, really. But yes, it's important that you take the customer experience into account. It's not just the sustainability which needs to work. Here are some other examples of the products what you can find on the shelves with the premium customer experience. For instance, these chocolates, handmade pralines, are a piece of Thatcher history wrapped in the future, our reusable box. Our newest recipe is called Universal Recipe, and it can be utilized with existing molds. And it has been trialed at the moment all over the world in 80 different mass manufacturing lines in existing plastic manufacturing facilities. And here is a hanger, for example, what we expect to be the next product to be launched soon. Along our journey, we have received many global partners, including Chanel and Stora Enso, and we just collected 15 million euros in order to scale up our business. But I can promise you that this is just the very beginning of our journey. And the most important promise what I can give you that our team will work every day very hard that we can make cleaner and sustainable planet for our children. And I really hope that all of you will start that work also today. Thank you.